Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now today we're going to be talking about yesterday's patch notes, and more specifically the change to Neutralise. So the only line of text that we got given at the moment has been Neutralise added to ability accuracy reduction immunities. Previously, champions who used AA immunity looked for concussion and other AA reducing abilities, but not Neutralise. And there is no other way to say this. This is going to hurt Tigra, Wiccan, and Rintrah. They will not be as powerful in some matchups, and they will just simply be incapable of doing some matchups. And that's fine, because it makes sense. This is one of those things that it works out worse for players, but I can't get upset or pretend to be upset about the fact that they are changing this, because it does make sense. That is how it should work. Neutralise is an ability that affects ability accuracy. And if a champion is immune to ability accuracy modification, Neutralise should not prevent those champions from gaining buffs. It's all, logical. It's how it should have been in my head. It's, what I would do if I would be in charge of kind of amending these problems in the game and making the game more consistent. Therefore, I don't have any problem with Kabam changing that. At the same time, I also want people to be aware that this is going to be a fairly significant change to Tigra, to Rintrah, to Wiccan, because it will make them, significantly less valuable in specific matchups, especially every time we see Force of Will node. You're not going to be able to do anything with Neutralise, so on and so forth. However, there is a second part, which is quite worrisome and could even have a much bigger aspect to it. And the worst part is that it's unclear at the moment how it's going to work. So the current situation is, this change definitely makes Tigra and Wiccan and Rintrah weaker in some matchups. But the question that we haven't got an answer to is how much weaker. You see, because Neutralise in all three of these champion cases is much more than just a slight aspect of their kits. Every single one of the champions that utilize Neutralise have additional abilities that are based around Neutralise. And at the moment there is this whole discussion thread going on, but I will dig through a few of the messages here in a bit. Finn left quite a good post as well. If this fix makes it so Neutralise doesn't trigger at all on any opponent who is immune to ability accuracy reduction, you have effectively introduced a kill switch to Tigra. Without the Neutralise, she can't keep her senses up and she becomes completely useless. I don't think it's fine. I do think it's fine if Neutralise can't lower the buff ability accuracy on opponents or who are immune to AAR, but don't make them immune to the effect as a whole. Without the AAR, all Tigra has is damage. She shouldn't lose that too, no matter whenever she fights a champ on Force of Will nodes. So the basic idea here is, for if you don't quite understand, if Neutralise is going to be counting in a similar fashion as Concussion is right now, then for instance, when you use Apocalypse's level 2 against Old Man Logan, that Concussion doesn't apply. It just says Old Man Logan's immune, and you don't get that debuff at all. Similarly with Strife, you can't place a concussion with Old Man Logan. You can't place a concussion with Strife on Old Man Logan, and that is going to be the problem here. If Neutralise doesn't get placed at all, whenever we're talking about Force of Will nodes, whenever we're talking about Mysterio or Old Man Logan or a handful of other champions, that would mean that, for instance, in case of Tigra, there would be absolutely no way to keep her senses up. They would just immediately keep expiring. And that means Tigra is, completely worthless in that matchup. And champions like Wiccan, it means if you can't place Neutralise, then you have one less spells to work with, and you can't get max benefit from your power efficiency buff that you get, and you can't maintain the remainder of your spells, and then Firefight just kind of falls apart. And similarly to Rintrah, if you can't place Neutralise, again, he can't really access a whole bunch of your abilities. So that is the worrisome part here right now. And the problem is we have zero clarification here. So again, to kind of sum it up and to be extremely careful, this change definitely lessens the power of neutralized champions, Tigra, Wiccan, and Rintrah. And it's okay, because it makes sense. That is how that ability should work. And I have absolutely not a single bad thing to say about the fact that Kabam is adjusting that. However, it does bring quite a big question mark on whether these champions will be usable at all in any capacity whenever ability accuracy reduction immunity is going to come into play. Because if you can't place Neutralize, then these champions become pretty much completely useless, and you'd be better off using Iron Patriot. So, there is quite an active discussion happening right now, because there are situations and precedents where the debuffs do get placed, even if champions are immune to the reductions or effects. Like, for instance, Disorient still gets placed because Disorient has a second effect. And there is, mention of Slow as well, and some other abilities. Because, unfortunately, this game doesn't have, like, a set of rules that we could refer to, if you will, or some sort of streamlined guidelines. And at the moment, we have precedents of concussion not placing, and we have precedents of a whole bunch of other effects placing that do affect ability accuracy. And it's kind of like a huge confusion at the moment. A lot of people are extremely worried. And again, I want people to be aware that the change itself is fine. Makes sense. It is kind of correcting a problem in the game, if you will. It does genuinely make sense that since Neutralize does interact with ability accuracy, champions who are immune to it shouldn't get affected by it. Now again, the big question, however, is whether that passive is going to trigger at all, which is going to be a major difference, because in every single case so far, Neutralize plays a pivotal point in the champion's kit. And if you can't place Neutralize at all, it means you can throw those champs in trash bin for those specific fights. Let me know what you guys think of this entire situation overall. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I want to hear as many of them as I can. But at the very least, the point of making this video is to make sure that people are aware of these changes coming and fully understand the impact that is going to happen with Neutralize, even if you can place it. Because that does mean that there is kind of like an effective failsafe now for Tigers. There are several fights in Alliance War map that you can't use Tigra, for instance, anymore, so on and so forth. Either way, let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about